Welcome, Simon, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Carnation, this new album, Cursed Mortality, and more things related in general of the metal world. So we're starting, I think, with a common question. How was the band been during the last 3 years? Because your last album, Where Dead Lies, was released at the beginning of the pandemic. So I think you don't have a much opportunity to promote it. But now you have a new album, Cursed Mortality. So how was the band been during the last 3 years?
So yeah, Where Dead Lies was released at the end of 2020, and indeed we did not have a lot of opportunities to promote it with live shows. So the timeline for the release from the previous album was already scheduled before the whole pandemic started. So it was like there was not a lot of things we could do about it. The release date was set and everything was in motion. And we quickly realized that we were not going to be able to play a lot of live shows. So we quickly shifted to more like video content. We released a lot of like guitar playthroughs, drum playthroughs. We pretty much did anything we could to still promote the album in any way possible. We also did like a live stream session, and we released a live album after it from that session and the Galaxy sessions, because there were not a lot of opportunities to promote the new album. And of course, that's something that we definitely want to change with the new with the new album that's coming out at the end of this year. Our intention is to really promote it live as much as possible. So because we had plans with the previous album, we had some really cool touring plans, but they just never happened. They postponed, and eventually they were canceled. So yeah, that's definitely a focus that we have for the new album, is that we also want to be able to really promote the new music live and play a lot of live shows. Yes.
Okay. Well, obviously when an album was released, like Where Death Lies, obviously the promotion with the live presentations normally nowadays. But with this aspect now, you are presenting now on a new album, Cursed Mortality. So the new tours, the new gigs, or the new live presentation that the band the band will have for the future. Will you focus more on this Cursed Mortality, or will you focus on both?
The focus will definitely be on Cursed Mortality, but we still always try to play songs from every album and every release we have. Like the last few shows we've been doing this summer, we've been playing the new singles. Like we played Cursed Mortality and Maruta, the singles we already released earlier this year. But we also still play songs from Chapel of Abhorrence and also from Where That Lies. We still always try to play the songs that we think that the crowd really likes, or the songs that we really like to perform live. So it's not like we're gonna play the new album from front to back every show. It's still gonna be a mix of different albums, different songs. But because with the new album we have a new visual approach, we obviously want to focus on the new album mostly. Yeah, that's definitely the main focus.
Okay. Well, a curious thing about the Carnation career is that since the beginning, since Chapel of the Abhorrence, then the second album and this new one, you are entered with one of the big labels as Season of Mist. Is it? So how will you see this accomplished when the band when you began this starts to work in 2013, and then your first EP 2015. Now the band directly went to the big label like Season of Mist. How do you feel about this aspect?
Well, it was really cool to be able to work with them. Definitely. Back in, I think we first had contact in 2017. Because we were finishing up on Chapel of Abhorrence, the recording of the album at that moment, and we were debating how we would release it. Would we try to do the first one ourselves, or would we immediately start working with a label? And somehow we got into touch with Season of Mist, and they were interested in releasing the first album already. And that's when we're like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. We should really it's going to help us so much. So we were very happy to be able to work with them from the first album, and it's been going great. So this is the third one already, and we've been they're doing a good job for us. So we're happy to be on the roster.
Okay, okay. Well, three years pass about from where that lies, and now we have a new approach at the band. As you told me, you have a new visual approach to this new album with different face of doing music with the Carnation. So for you, what are the biggest difference apart from the visual aspect that the band has compared to the previous album in this Curse Mortality?
Sorry, could you repeat? I lost you for a second.
So what are the biggest strengths that this album has compared to the previous one?
Okay, yeah, no, so for this new album, there's quite a bit of differences compared to our previous two albums. So it's not like it wasn't intentional. It's not like we said beforehand like we're going to write a different album than anything we've done before. It came quite naturally. So our main songwriter is Jonathan, our guitar player, and he started writing new material for the third album, and most of the material he had contains stuff like clean guitar parts, or it was very lead guitar focused, a lot of lead guitar parts, a lot of melodies, a lot of solos, but also clean guitar parts. And that's when we decided like we're gonna do something that's slightly different compared to what we did before. I mean, there's a balance there. There's definitely still a couple of songs on the album that could perfectly be compared to Where That Lies or Chapel of Abhorrence. But there's also new things, and those new things were quite challenging for us. Clean vocals, clean guitar parts, and like a lot of layers on top of each other with the lead guitars and also keyboards and stuff. So those were quite challenging, and just the fans might be surprised with these new elements. But most importantly for us, it was a lot of fun to be able to create these new kind of elements to add these new elements to our sound. And it was really it came quite natural. Just during the songwriting process, it became apparent that we really wanted that this was really going to be a part of what we were going to do for the third album. So yeah.
Okay. Well, in your first album, Chapel of Abhorrence, and the second one, Where That Lies, you did the cover arts by Juan Castellano Rosado from Spain. And now you decide, as you told me, you decide completely change the focus of the cover art of this Curse Mortality, because you use a cover art from Mariusz Lewadomski. Well, he passed away last year. So how will you decide to change from the Juanjo to this Marius, and how will you see the next approach of the band? Because some bands are trying to maintain the same artist for the next album, but now Marius is passed away, and how do you see this aspect?
That's a good question. Yeah, we really liked what Marius did for us on this album that we're releasing at the moment. And of course, we're not going to be able to work with him again for the next one. It's very sad. But that's not something that we're already thinking about. We're not really already thinking about the cover artwork for the fourth one. That's still quite a few months and years away, and I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But to go back to your the first part of your question, the reason that we decided to go with someone new for this album is because we felt like that the sound was quite different. Well, there were quite a lot of new things in our sound, and we felt like it just felt like Marius's art style really fit well with the sound that we had in mind for the third album. The same could be said for Juanjo and his style for the first two albums. That also was a perfect fit. Juanjo did a really great job for Chapel of Abhorrence and Where That Lies. It really facilitates the music very well. But we felt like this album needed a bit of a different art style, and that's why we went with Marius. Yeah.
Okay. Well, other aspect about this new album is that one usually when like at the background this comment. So usually in the 90s you see a cover art for the you see a logo for the first bands, Cannibal Corpse, The Dead, when a lot of bands. Then 10 years or 15 years later, they decide to change the logo with a new approach. So now it's at that in the 80s and 90s, that's a common thing because they need to renew for 4 or 5 albums, depends, or perhaps 10 or 50 years later, they decide to change the image of the band. So, but now the curious thing is that the band has, with this year, accomplished 10 years of existence. So, 10 years of existence, the first 2 albums has the first logo, and now with this Curse of Mortality, you have a new logo. So that's a curious thing. So, why do you decide to change the logo from this new album?
The 10 years thing is actually coincidence. So it was not like it's good that you noticed that, but it's not really like we didn't really have in mind like after 10 years we're gonna change it. That was not the intention. It's completely related to the new album. So we just felt like the new sound that we had, it didn't quite match with the previous logo that we had, or we felt like we wanted to change the logo a little bit to fit the new sound that we had. Or new sound is a bit, it's not like we completely changed our sound, but we added new things to our sound that didn't really fit well with the previous logo, in our opinion. I mean, it's still definitely a death metal, definitely, but it has like the clean vocals and such. And we had there were some concerns about matching everything together, and it just felt like we wanted to really look at the big picture and look at the complete thing that we are releasing right now, and really make sure that like band image, like logo, like symbolism and stuff, that it all really fit together, that we really had a cool package, a cool album that really fit well on the whole page. And that's why we said like, yeah, I mean, the band name stays the same, and the logo it changes, but I think you can still see the evolution there. You can still see that it's a natural evolution for the band. So it felt like for us it felt like the right thing to do anyway. We were very excited about really like a fresh breath of air for us. Yeah.
Nice. Well, other aspects is the band are other aspects from this new album. That's a curious thing because you decide completely change the way that we see Carnation and the logo and the cover art, and now even the sound, because the first album was mastering by Duson, a great well-known producer in the world. But even you use at that time a Jan Halen to mix in the album the first time. Then you decide to master in for the second album with Jens Brogren, on a well-known producer in the world, and also you decide to work again with Jan Halen for that album in the recording process and the mixing process. But now for this new album, you decide complete everything with Jan Halen as a producer for the new album, and just mastered with Joel Wanasek. So how do you see this aspect to change? Well, the producers, the mastering people. Are you agree with are you agree with some people say that is the Dan Swan has the personal sound, James Brogren has the personal sound, and well, Joel Wanasek it's not well known like the both first, but is well known too. So are you agree with when you change the master people, the master person, definitely change the sound of the band?
It definitely has an influence, yes. I would say mastering definitely let's put it like this, the way that we approach it is like Jarne, our bass player Jarne, his main profession is to record bands. He does it on a daily basis. And he's very skilled at it. We all see that he's very, very good at recording and mixing and stuff. But if you're working on your own album for weeks or months on end, at some point you really start missing, like you've listened to it too much and you need a set of fresh ears to listen to the music. And that's why always we decide to do the last step, like the mastering. We always let someone else listen to it, just to see if Jarne, or if we are missing something that we did not notice, or because Jarne has been working on this project for so long, he's so deep into it that you start really missing little details because you've listened to it so much. And that's why we always try to work with someone else for the mastering. And yeah, I'm not quite sure why we've worked with someone else every single album. It's not like we're unhappy with the previous masterings. It's just like it just felt like Dan Swanne was the right guy for the first one, like Jens Bogene was the right guy for the second one, and Joel really had a good we like tested his mastering beforehand, and we really liked what he did with the test that we received. So he felt like the right guy to really handle the music that we created this time. And I would say, yeah, Dan Swanne definitely is a bit more well, his mastering is a bit more old school maybe, and that really fit well with the Chapel of Abhorrence release. And Jens is more modern, I would say, but he's still somewhere in between. And Joel definitely has a more modern approach to mastering, or to his sound, I would say. So I guess it's just the guy we needed for the type of album that we were making. Yeah.
Okay. One of the last questions about this new album, as you can see now, now when the new generation are returning on time to hear the album just by singles and not the full album anymore. So that's like, that's the fall of the digital platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Tidal, etc. They now this is kind of digital platforms love to do this kind of thing in the playlist. If we relate this aspect, which song or songs for you represent the whole textures and context from this Curse of Mortality?
I would say the song that definitely best represents the new album is the title track, Curse of Mortality. It really has, like, everything that we're doing on the album is in this track. It has blast beats, it has very groovy death metal parts, but it also has clean guitars, it has clean vocals, it even has keyboards, it has very rhythmically sections, it's very diverse. So if you're looking to find out what all the different elements are of the album, that you will find them on the title track, Curse Mortality. So yeah, there's of course the album. There's songs that are completely death metal. There's songs that are even more clean vocal, like the single that we released recently, Replicant, is a lot more clean vocals. But there's definitely other songs like Maruta that's like constantly bashing and trashy and death metal. So it's a very varied album. Yes.
Okay. Well, talking about the promotion of this new album, what kind of plans the band has for this new album? Well, I know that this album will release in November 3rd, so it's very far now to release it. So and even the scheduled things to do a tours at the end of the year, when it's not like to release any album in January, February, because you have a whole year to schedule. So what kind of plans do you have? Perhaps next 2024 you have Latin American tour. Who knows? Depends. Who knows? Perhaps European tours or US tour or Australia or Asia. Who knows? Who knows? Or more videos.
So for this year, we're still releasing singles at the moment, and like you said before, that's how the climate has changed. So it's there's a lot more attention on singles. It's something that we've noticed, and that other bands have been doing as well the last couple of years. So not all fans like it that you release so many singles. A lot of fans really want to listen to the entire album at once, but it's so clear that singles get so much more attention and viewership and listenership than the other tracks, and we really wanted to be able to promote every single or the most of the tracks as much as possible. So that's why we decided to do also quite a lot of singles, and that's why they started releasing at a quite an early stage in the promotional cycle. And I mean, there's something that's out of our hands. It's something that was decided by how everything works now, how the digital streaming platform stuff. So yeah, and we decided to go with that, with the same direction as that how it's going. For the rest of the year, we still have quite a lot of shows once the album releases, but we're doing mostly like European shows. We're doing a release show in Belgium, we're doing a release show in the Netherlands, we're doing another one in Germany. We've got some indoor festivals also planned at the end of the year in Belgium, Germany as well, like close countries around us. But for next year, yeah, we're working on at least one tour, maybe more. Definitely one in Europe that we're working on at the moment. And for other plans, we're talking, but nothing really specific yet. So I'm going to be careful because plans can often change. That's something that we've noticed the last couple of years. So we're very careful before we announce anything.
Okay. Well, talking about as I said in the first question, talking about other aspects beyond from this new album or Carnation history. Well, it's well known that the Belgium in the metal or extreme metal area didn't have in the past well-known bands. But now, with the approach of 2000s, we have we have more bands like you, Carnation. So how do you see now the scenes compared to the 80s and 90s? Is much better or stronger now than before?
It's actually quite hard for me to compare because I'm not really that old. But ever since I've started listening to metal, or ever since I've started being active in the scene, and that was at a really young age already, it's always been quite popular in Belgium. And there was always a good underground scene here. A lot of small bands, a lot of underground bands, and several of them really grew and made it to the international level. I would say that more recently, there's still a very good underground scene, but there's more bands that are really breaking the ceiling and touring in a more international level. So yeah, I would say the Belgian scene is definitely doing very well. There's a lot of shows every week. Yeah, and it's good. It's great to see. It's I'd say it's a good sign for the future. It's great that it keeps growing and that it keeps strong. Yeah.
Okay. Well, other aspects about now the music industry. Well, as you know, as we spoke a few minutes ago, it's about the singles way to hear the music. And with this aspect of the singles, one thing about the digital platforms is that a lot of enterprises or a lot of business are paying for the algorithms to recommend music. It's not like it's not like when I hear the first time metal in the 80s or 90s, when you buy the magazine, you just see the cover art and you just buy the CD because you love it, the cover art. Even sometimes the cover art, sometimes the music behind the cover art was bad or was good or was so more or less. And so now in related to this aspect, well, now the artificial intelligence with the algorithms no more present, because the music industry changed completely with this aspect. So related to this, well, even I read the article. They say that the free will is losing the battle against the algorithms, obviously against the AI, because all the machines all recommend the music that who pays more about the algorithm. No, it's not who pays much better about the algorithms. So for you, which kind of what kind of opinion do you have about this aspect? Now the AI and the algorithms more present into the music, and into the entertainment area, and not like the 80s and 90s that you need to find the music behind something, and you have to do this kind of. What is your opinion?
It's difficult. I would say there's benefits, but there's also clear disadvantages. So on one hand, this how to say this modernization, I would say it's helpful because it's easier to reach people from different countries. So we're a band from Belgium, but compared to the 80s, it's now easier to reach fans in Brazil or in the States or whatever. So I would say that's better compared to the 80s, but it's definitely harder now to it's not harder to reach your target audience, I would say, but it's more, there's more noise with the AI stuff. There's more like influence on what gets pushed, and it's definitely quite tricky to deal with this new influence on the music scene. So I would say actually like maybe 8 years ago, or nah, it's too long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was a bit better. It was you could see that modernization was being helpful, but it was still, you still had more control over it. It was like a better balance, and now it's gone a bit too far. It's a bit out of control, really, and it has really influenced the music industry a lot, and it's difficult to deal with. Yeah. But I think it's the most important thing is I don't think it's going away. So I think we're going to have to deal with it, and we're going to have to learn how to work with it or work how to work around it or something. So yeah.
Okay. Well, Simon, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoy this one like me.
Thank you.
I love your band. It's a great band. Congratulations on this course of mortality. Perhaps you want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metalero followers?
Well, I hope we went to Brazil once in 2018, but we would love to come back and do like a big Latin American tour. That's something that we've been like thinking about or wanting to do for a while, and I hope that we can finally realize this, maybe with the Curse Mortality album. That would be really cool. But I can't make any promises. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, hopefully we can make it happen, and it would be really cool to see all of the fans from Latin America live there.